Please would the secretary take the roll call?
Angela Jameson, Chairman.
Present.
Sandy Redden here. Beth Bernali may be running late. I think she's planning on coming.
I don't know.
Okay, so absent. Don Mastronardi, absent. Beth Sanford.
Here.
Dan Stepanek.
Here.
Phil Williams.
Here.
Katie Owsley is absent. Adam Ramirez.
Here.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Ramirez, please would you be seated for Mr. Mastronardi?
Be my pleasure.
Thank you. So next item, we have an agenda in front of us. Any questions, comments? If not, please could I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Redden.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Okay. Agenda is approved. Next item, the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 20th, 2025. Any comments, questions regarding those? If not, could I hear a motion to approve, please?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Redden.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. All those in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. So the minutes of the regular meeting, October 20th, are approved unanimously. Next, the minutes of the site visit on November 5th, 2025. Questions, comments? If not, a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Redden. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously. Item number 5, applications to be received and, if complete, scheduled for the November 17th, 2025 regular meeting. And there are none. And so consequently, we do not need to schedule a site visit. So now we will open the regular meeting. Item number 7, application IW-25-43-1541, Onoak Ridge, Anna Knowles Rogers and Colin Smith, partial pond maintenance dredging using hydraulic operated machine to remove accumulated sediment. And the agent is Matt Vogt from New England Aquatic Services. So I believe you have a presentation you'd like to share with us.
I do. Thank you. Good evening. Let me just make sure I share the right thing, which of course I don't think I am. Yeah. Sorry, I can't see which. Apologies, 1 second here. This is. I apologize. I thought it was all ready to go here, and we have to get back in.
Take your time.
Technology gets me every time.
Yeah, doesn't always cooperate.
I did see you were in the meeting room.
Yeah, I had to give permissions to be able to share my screen, and they made me log out.
Okay. All right. I just let you back
Sorry
in.
about that. Okay, we will try this.
Okay.
Okay, I think. There we go. Can you see that? Okay, we there? Can we see that there now? Okay. So I apologize about that. So 1541 Onoak is the one that we're on, correct? So the pond at 1541 Owen Oak Ridge is a small pond, I believe groundwater fed. This is essentially a real basic maintenance dredging project. So the pond, which I know you saw during the site walk, has just filled in with leaves and detritus and debris over the years to the point now that it's hard to keep clean, aesthetically pleasing, functional. It's kind of filled up to the top with all this debris and material. So the plan will be to hydraulically dredge the material out, which involves utilizing pumping equipment and dewatering tubes, geotextile dewatering tubes. So we'll
Sorry to interrupt, but do you think you could maximize your screen?
Oh, sure.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Can we see that? Okay. So the plan will be to set up our trailer mounted dredge pump here on the property as close as we can get it to the pond. Pond location is approximately here, where we will hand dredge the material from the pond using a 5-inch suction nozzle with crew members in the water. They'll pump that material along a 4-inch discharge pipeline to a dewatering tube staged in this location on the property. That tube will retain the sediment and the leaves and the debris and allow the water to discharge, and then will be pumped back to the pond. That tube, once that dredging is complete, that tube will sit there to dry for 3 to 4 months or until it's adequately dry enough to then open and then load into some trucks to take that material off the site. So we will access that material in terms of disposal from this additional driveway section here. We'll have to temporarily open the existing stone wall that's there to gain access, remove that material, and then they'll have that small section of the stone wall, about 6 to 8 feet, put back the way that it is now. We don't anticipate too much disturbance in the area where the dewatering tube is going to be staged, but we do plan to rake and seed and stabilize that area after we've removed that material. Ultimately, after one autumn, you'll have the leaves. It's kind of in the wooded area, so there should be leaves that fall and kind of cover that area, and shouldn't be able to see that we were ever there after at least a season. That's pretty much the size of it. We have, I think, about 350 cubic yards of material wet that we're estimating in the pond itself. That'll reduce by at least 50% once we pump it into the dewatering tube and dewater it, and it consolidates to about 100 to 150 cubic yards that we'll be removing from the site after it's dry. We don't anticipate really any disturbance along the property during the process. The reason that we have to put this tube over in this location is that there is some flat area here along the tennis court between that and the stone wall, but we need to be able to get that dredge pump as close to the pond as possible, and then we have to be able to get it back out. So if we put the dewatering tube there, we wouldn't be able to get our pump back out because there's just really no access due to the steep terrain of the property. The project should take, in terms of the dredging, 2 weeks if the weather's good. We'd like to get this done in December if possible, January if we have to deal with some weather.
Thank you. Questions from the commission members? Please, Mr. Stepanek.
How deep is it? How deep is it going to be once you get? You're going to take 3 feet, I think, of leaves and debris off it, right? How deep will it be once you get that finished?
We measure the pond to only be about 4 to 5 feet deep in its center, down to what is the hard bottom. So we won't be going any deeper than whatever that original kind of hard bottom that it was dug to, just removing that soft material that's on top.
Is it 3 feet of stuff you're taking off? Or is it 3 inches? It's not 3 inches, is it?
No, 3 feet. I think, let me just double check. Yeah, 3 feet on average throughout the whole pond of accumulated sediment.
Okay.
So would you?
And the total will then be 5
That's what he's trying to get at.
of water? Is that right? 5? Well,
Right. Yeah.
About 5 feet.
Because there's only 1 foot to 2 feet in the deepest in the best areas of the pond right now. In other areas, it's reaching the surface with accumulation.
Are there any fish in there or anything like that?
I'm sure there probably are some fish in there. I didn't see any while I was looking at it. Certainly probably some frogs and things like that. One of the advantages to our particular methodology here with the hydraulic dredging is that we don't have to drain the pond and dig it out, which just means that, the only place in the pond that's actively being affected is the area that we're pumping, and the whole rest of the pond gets to act like an area of refuge for any wildlife that's in there. So things kind of get out of our way, we'll clear an area, and then as we move to the areas that haven't been treated, that area we've already done still contains the water to allow for some migration, around the pond as we do the work.
Good, thank you.
Angela Jameson for the record. When was the pond last dredged, and how long will this dredging last, do you think?
So I actually don't have any details on when the pond was dredged. I doubt that, just based on my own personal experience with ponds, I doubt that particular pond has been dredged since whenever it was dug out.
Right.
And I think that there was some conversation which made a lot of sense about the age of the trees that are growing into the edge of the pond, which kind of suggests that it's pretty old. Given the nature of this pond, it does not have what I can see as an active stream flowing into it. I think it's mostly groundwater fed. It's really accumulation from material that's falling in. So I would say a project like this has got at least a 20-year lifespan as long as it's maintained, properly going forward.
Thank you. Any additional questions, comments?
Comment. Commissioner Redden, for the record, I think you were extremely helpful on the site visit, and it was very clear what this project was. And it's not always that clear. So I think you did a great job of just laying out what you just described. Thank you.
Thank
you. Mr. Williams, did you have a question?
I did not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
No.
just thought you did.
No.
So are there any special conditions, Ms. Holland, that we should consider?
The only special condition I think is appropriate for this location is due to the location where he's going to be temporarily putting the dewatering tubes. Matt covered the fact that that will be lightly raked, seeded, and stabilized. And then after one season, you're really not going to know that they were even in there. But I would like that basically upon removal of dredged sediment from dewatering tube area and restoration, the area shall be inspected by consultant to check for stabilization, and they shall submit a final compliance, I should have said the word report, to staff. So that's really just and I'll also be going out to check it, but I'd like to get that report first, and then I'll check it as well.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. So if we don't have any more questions, comments, or special conditions, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve IW 25-43 with Director Holland's special condition.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Very good. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Any abstentions? Nope. So that application is approved unanimously. So thank you very much. And now we move on to the next item. Application IW-25-44, 52 Indian Rock Road, Robert A. Young, partial pond maintenance dredging using hydraulic operated machine to remove accumulated sediment. And again, the agent is Mr. Vogt.
Thank you very much. Good to be back.
Where you been?
Another maintenance dredging project, a little bit larger in scope than the last one. This pond kind of lies more in a stream system, which contributes to sedimentation and has required dredging more often than the last project that I spoke about. So in this project, also due to the size of the pond, we'll be using a slightly larger piece of equipment, which is a floating dredge. Functions the same way. It's just rather than hand vacuuming the bottom, this machine is cable driven and pulled along the pond and pumps the material from the bottom into the same type of dewatering tube. So the way that the site is laid out, we'll be accessing from the road through an existing access way to this section of the property here, where there's some open, flat, grassy area. We'll have our dewatering tube, and then we will also launch the floating dredge, which is essentially like a pontoon boat kind of shape. into the pond this way. We'll pump that material into the dewatering tube. I expect for this project to take probably 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And then after that's completed, that material would sit for, again, 3 to 4 months. Could be a little bit longer depending, but then ultimately that tube will be cut open, the material loaded into trucks, accessed from the same roadway, and disposed from the site. In terms of kind of restoration of the area, same thing. We would be lightly raking, seeding, and trying to get that kind of back to where it is today. In this case, due to the flow of water through the system, we would also be placing a turbidity curtain to try to mitigate turbidity caused by the process from flowing downstream as much as possible. We will also be lining this dewatering area with plastic and then surrounding that with silt fence, which is then used to guide the draining water back into the pond. I think the last time that this pond was dredged, if my recollection is correct, was 2012. So I would expect probably a similar timeline, 10 to 15 years before it would need to be done again in the future. What did I miss? I think I covered everything.
Timing?
Timing again. So hopefully we'd get this started in December if possible.
Very good. Thank you. Questions, comments from the commission members? Mr. Stepanek?
This is Dan Stepanek. You're going to bring the equipment in a special road, is that right?
So the road which runs along the property, Country Club Road.
Right.
It's an existing roadway that, or driveway, I'm sorry, or access pathway. I'm not sure the best term for it. Comes in from Country Club Road and has been used for, I think, dredging in the past and also whatever construction projects that they've done there on the property.
So how would, what kind of a truck would you bring in down that road?
So our equipment is actually just pulled behind a pickup truck. It's a small light piece of equipment on a flatbed trailer that we just pull in there and back down. I'm sure that there will be larger sized dump trucks used to remove that material. There's a small stream or waterway with a bridge that spans it, but the homeowner has assured us that that is capable of holding any size of equipment that needs to get in there based on its use for that same purpose in the past projects.
So that piece of property is owned exclusively by the Youngs, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Angela Jameson for the record. So I'm just interested what the cutoff point is when you decide whether to use a floating hydraulic dredge or whether you use the equipment that you're planning to use at Owen Ridge. Sure.
So there's kind of a couple of factors. One is the depth of water. So the deeper the water, we prefer to, if it's over a person's head, to use this other machine, which can go down to 13 feet. Yep. Also, it's the kind of the size of the pond and the square footage. So where the hand dredging machine, you would have to hand dredge every square foot of the pond. Right. Once it gets to a kind of a certain size, which varies depending on the specific situation as to when we kind of choose what we're going to use. Access also plays a role. So in some cases, the terrain does not allow for the larger dredge equipment to be able to be launched into a pond. So it makes more sense to be able to back up a trailer mounted pump that we can then just run a hose into it if the sides are really steep or you can't get a crane.
Thank you. So, oh, please go ahead.
There it is. This is Dan Stepanek. Did you take a look at the dam when you were there? You have nothing to do with the dam, is that right?
Correct. We won't be going anywhere near the
Is it
dam
look,
jeopardizing.
you won't be going, okay, so it's not your feeling the dam needs to be repaired or anything like that, or you don't do that anyway, is that correct?
That's not really within our specialty.
Right, right.
Generally speaking, when it comes to dams, though, we do stay about 10 feet off of them where it makes sense to avoid risking, undermining or having any effect on their
Right.
stability.
All right, thank you.
Angela Jameson again. So perhaps you could just spell out for us how you plan to stabilize the area where the dewatering tube has been and also the access way if necessary.
Sure. So after the dewatering tube, the material's removed and the tube material has been removed. That area, I don't anticipate there to be too much disturbance to the terrain itself. So hopefully it's just a matter of raking that area out and planting some appropriate seed mix in that area to restabilize it and get it back to the condition that it's in now. As far as the roadway, that's a pretty firm roadway underneath some leafy detritus at this point. If there's any ruts or anything like that that are created, it would be raking those out. I suppose during the process itself, if it tends to be wet and we're seeing rutting, erosion control measures would be put into place, but I don't necessarily think or anticipate there to be much damage along that path to warrant putting it up in advance necessarily.
Thank you very much. Any special conditions that we should think about, Director Holland?
These two reviews were pretty similar in nature, just different sizes and slightly different equipment being used. The other thing I want to say about this type of dredging that Matt does is there's no shoreline disturbance so no impacts to the shoreline because they're working literally in the pond and the water level is high. So that's a benefit. So there's not a whole lot of restoration that they need to do. These two are truly pond maintenance. So they're, the homeowners are choosing to preserve these ponds to the best of their ability by doing this type of dredging. So the only special condition was similar to the last one is that with the removal of the dredged sediment from the dewatering tube area and restoration, the area shall be inspected by the consultant to check for stabilization, and they shall submit a final compliance report to staff.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions from commission members? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve IW 25-24, again with Director Holland's special condition.
Thank you.
I'll
like-
second that. That's Sanford.
Thank you, Ms. Sanford.
Did I misunderstand?
44, no?
Yeah.
Is it not 44?
25-44.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I think he's got it.
Yeah, so this is IW-25-44. Very good. So all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So the application has been approved unanimously. So
Thank you very much.
indeed, Mr.
And if
Vogt.
you could stop sharing your screen for the next applicant, might have a screen to share.
One question, if I may.
Yes.
Would you like to inspect the dewatering setup before we start dredging activities?
Sure. I mean, you're going, once I issue the permit, turn in the contractor compliance form, and then we'll coordinate as far as an inspection for sediment setup, the curtain
Okay.
in this one and whatnot.
Good.
Good.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thanks, Matt. Have a good night. You can read the next one in while they're getting set up. maybe.
Okay, sure. So application IW-25-45, 223 Michigan Road. Pelagic One LLC, install additional erosion controls, remove fill from wetlands and within 10 feet of wetland line, then regrade at 3:1 slope to current elevation. Install subsurface stormwater detention facility and associated piping, replace existing pipes as needed, revegetate wetlands and upland review, limit per planting plan, install irrigation lines, and place topsoil outside of 50-foot upland review limit. Sod all disturbed areas outside of upland review limit, remove erosion controls. And the agent is Mr. Frangione of Frangione Engineering. So thank you very much for appearing here this evening. So this application comes about because there was a violation, as I understand it. So work was undertaken in the wetlands and in the floodplain area without first securing a permit. So please could you include in your presentation, ideally I think up front, exactly why the violation occurred and what exactly was done, because the narrative that you have provided is useful as to what you're planning for the mitigation purposes, but it really doesn't address the underlying issue here of what happened before you thought about a permit.
Thank you. I'll start. Amy Zabatakis, Rucci Law Group, here on behalf of the property owner, which is Pelagic One. The Carter Gray, who is the homeowner, is here as well with us this evening. Mr. Frangione, who's the engineer and applicant, is here, as well as Ms. Throckmorton, who's the landscape architect and wetlands engineer. That was actually precisely where I was going to start, is how we got here, which is that the homeowner started to do some work on his property. There were a number of dead trees that had been struck by lightning, and he started to do some tree removal work, and honestly was not aware that he needed a permit for the work that he was doing. Ultimately, about approximately 20 trees were removed from the site. When the stumps were removed, there were some large stones removed. There were large holes in the property, and fill was brought in. And at that point, there was, in the south side of the property, some of the fill that was being moved. There inadvertently, some got pushed down towards the wetlands, which is part of what we're addressing. Again, it was all, frankly, inadvertent. As soon as my client became aware of the fact that a permit was needed, work immediately stopped. The site was stabilized, silt fencing was added, and we began a conversation with Ms. Holland, as well as with Ms. Carey's zoning staff, to make sure that we got all the proper permits in place. So since that date, no further work has been done on the property. As you saw during the site visit, obviously it's in a bit of a sort of half construction zone. So now what we'd like to do is make sure that we get all the proper permits in place. We do have a wetlands remediation plan, as well as some plantings that we'd like to share with you all. One thing I should also note is that for the northern part of the property, I do have the survey up on the screen, although I realize it's quite small. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. So you'll see that there is a flood zone line that goes through almost the center of where the house is. So we did file a floodplain management application. However, there is on the town website, even smaller. FEMA is in the process of modifying the flood maps for New Canaan. And actually, based on the information that was available online, this new map should have been adopted in November. That hasn't happened yet. I'm not sure that any of us know exactly when that will get adopted. But if you see what FEMA themselves have found is that this property is not actually in a flood zone. So basically, we took a look at it and we said, well, we can file a floodplain management application, even though we don't believe this is a floodplain, and we obviously therefore think there'll be no impacts, or we can file a LOMA. Since we know these maps will ultimately get adopted, we figured the floodplain application was the most straightforward. But as you'll hear from Mr. Frangione, we don't really think this is actually a floodplain, so we certainly don't expect any impacts from the work being done there. And then The other work that is being proposed on the southern half of the property, we are within the wetlands upland review area, and we do, as I mentioned earlier, have a rehabilitation plan for that area. So I guess unless you have any questions for me, maybe I'll turn it over to Ms. Francione to just sort of go over what the plans are.
Commission members, any questions at this point?
Because you're showing us the FEMA map, can you tell us what we're looking at? So the left is what is in place now,
Sorry, yes.
and the red mark is where the house is or the property?
That's exactly correct.
So,
This
yeah.
little red, can you see my hand on the screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the house. So you can see the flood zone right now goes almost basically and goes straight across their backyard. That's what's shown on the survey that was part of the file. The projected floodplain is outside of the property boundaries altogether. I know you can't see the property boundaries on this, but it certainly is not in the area where we were doing any work.
And is this something you found online, or you had to go to FEMA to get some response?
No, this is actually, if you go onto the town's website, they have all of the proposed map amendments for the town of New Canaan. So like I said, when I first pulled this all up, it said pretty clearly on there, the expected adoption date was November of 2025. Perhaps Ms. Holland has more information for me than I do on why that hasn't been adopted yet.
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe we could just hear from Ms. Holland on that point.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sure. Just let me just give a little quick education on the whole FEMA floodplain process and why these folks had to file the floodplain management permit. So my second hat that I wear here for the town of New Canaan is the manager of floodplains. So basically, I have to rule to the maps that are currently adopted. So the maps that are currently adopted for this property are the ones on the left-hand side of your screen. The FEMA is going through, we're looking at maps. They've done some definite evaluation of major areas throughout Connecticut and the United States. The timeline was projected for November 2025. The town initially has to receive a letter of final determination. We have not received a letter of final determination from FEMA. I reached out to the FEMA folks, probably for someone else, because the same question keeps coming up. When are the maps going to be adopted? So I talked to Diane Ivkovic, who's the state floodplain manager, and she said I read her mind because she's getting ready to speak to the Connecticut Association of Floodplain Managers. It was preparing sort of the timeline, what they guess is going to happen. Due to the current government chaos around this particular subject, everything is still further pushed out, yet perhaps another year. So these folks are we're stuck with the maps that are on file. Floodplains, by definition, are wetlands. Mm-hmm. So right now, you do have regulatory authority on the northern side of the driveway. So they have provided the floodplain management application. And I appreciate you guys kind of getting that in as well, because that's sort of a second thing that we had to do. So I believe these maps will be adopted, and I believe this is accurate information, but we sort of have to ignore it at this point in time. And that's why they now have provided you a mitigation plan that includes some additional information from Ms. Throckmorton on the northern side of the driveway, which will show how that will be landscaped and finalized, because technically it's fallen into your review area as well. So that's the long story.
Thank you.
Mr. Stepanek, I think you had a question.
Well, I was going to ask for background on FEMA and why they changed it, the whole thing. I think you answered that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the record, Rob Frangion.
Just turn on your mic.
Oh, I think before we move on, Mr. Redden has an additional question.
I just wanted to talk about the flood.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were about to make
A zones. A lot of these old unnumbered A zones haven't been changed in decades. And a lot of them were based on historical anecdotal evidence of, we think the water got about this high. And I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. It's that odd. And so for some of these areas, there was never like a flood insurance study done where they actually model the river. I think what FEMA's done now is they've gone back and looked at these unnumbered A zones, realized that the chaos they cause, and you'll see that the floodplain that's going to be associated with this new mapping is more coincident with contours. Right now, this flood zone goes perpendicular to contours. That's not the way water rises. When the water floods, each time the water rises, that's a contour, and the flood plain is coincident with the contour line. Doesn't go across contours. And the mapping that they have seems to be coincident with elevation 487 on the town GIS mapping. And that's 5 feet to 9 feet lower than any of the activity that we have on our site. So that's why we filed the floodplain management application saying that there's not going to be an impact to the floodplain from any of the activity on the site because we are above what the real floodplain is. So I hope that made more sense.
So thank you for that clarification, but nonetheless, as Ms. Holland has pointed out,
Right.
we have to operate with the existing maps, and
Yes.
it sounds as though it's pretty uncertain when the new maps will come into effect.
Mhm.
Wish that weren't the case, but that's the situation we face and we have to work with.
And that's why we figured it just made better sense to file the floodplain management application, show that there's no impact to the floodplain as a result of this, and move forward. So.
Thank you. Any further questions at this point, or shall we? Oh, Mr. Redden, please.
Commissioner Redden, for the record, when was it determined that there was a violation?
I'm not sure that I know the date, but my client was contacted by Ms. Holland and realized that he was doing work that required.
It was the
permit.
town that reached out.
Correct.
June 2025.
Right.
And I'd say it's been a while. I don't remember how the complaint came to me, to tell you the truth. I think it was a telephone call from someone who was concerned about activities on the site.
Right.
And
right.
then I did go out that afternoon. Mr. Gray was on site and I spoke with him at that time.
Right. I mean, you're a very good attorney representing your client and doing what you need to do. It's interesting. Are there any, spilling into, some of the fill spilling into the wetlands is interesting because it looked pretty heavy on the site visit. Didn't look like spilling. It looks like it was pushed in by heavy equipment. And the number of trees that were taken down, there was numerous lightning strikes, or was a lightning strike, or because you said lightning strikes.
Oh, sorry, I referred to the lightning strike to just sort of discuss sort of how this started, that there were numerous dead trees. He was concerned about safety, about limbs falling. And so that was sort of how the project started.
Right.
But the estimate is that approximately 20 healthy trees were removed from the site.
Do we have any photos of the site before it was cleared?
Unfortunately, no.
So there's no photographs, maybe from the.
All we have is the GIS, the
Right.
aerial photos. And that's why
So when the house was purchased, were there films, were there photos from the realtor maybe that you could get to us?
I can look into that. I mean, usually, this was not the manicured part of the
Right.
yard.
Right.
So typically the realtor photos focus on, the house.
Right, understand.
and,
Yeah, it was woodlands. Yeah, no, I understand. It's just there was a lot of trees and they were de-stumped. They were de-stumped.
The stumps were removed, and then also, and that's why there was quite a bit of fill brought on, because stumps were removed, large rocks
Right.
were removed. So we're trying to get to a smooth surface.
Which
Right.
is why in the drainage analysis, I basically just assumed that the majority of the disturbed area was woods. I had to do a complete hydrologic analysis and drainage analysis, and my assumption was that it was woods. Was there some lawn that I might not have accounted for? Possibly, but I took the worst case scenario of it all being all woods and said, here's how we're going to mitigate it. So I'll save that for when I actually get to my.
Thank you.
Follow up on that.
Please, Ms. Holland.
Go ahead.
I just like to understand, this work was significant work. So obviously it was done by a contractor with heavy equipment. Who was this contractor? And are they somebody who should have known the town's regs?
All the work was done under the purview of the homeowner, and obviously a lesson has been learned, and some more education probably does need to be done as far as some of the, I do think New Canaan's regulations with the tree removal requiring some of the regrading permits is a little different than some other towns. So, what every contractor is aware of, I'm not sure, but certainly, as I said, we fully acknowledge that a permit should have been obtained ahead of time. And as soon as my client was made aware of that, he stopped all work.
Understand that part. I'm just curious who the contractor was,
Yeah.
because the contractors in this town should know. And we know that there are contractors who have certain repetitive habits.
Well, we'll certainly make sure that any contractor he works with in the future is well aware of the regulations. I would certainly make sure to speak with them myself if necessary.
So just following on there, are you willing to give us the name of the contractor who did the work?
I think since the work was done under the auspices of the homeowner, I don't think that that's
Right.
appropriate.
I'm not sure I understand your answer. What does that mean? It was done under the auspices. Any homeowner that is going to use a contractor, that is under their auspices. So what's different in this case?
I don't think there's anything different. I just think that it was done at the direction of the homeowner, as opposed to it, if he was a contractor and was doing this on his own property, then I would think certainly that would, he should know, the contractor should know better. But the homeowner is here asking for the permits, and I just don't think it's appropriate to bring up the contractors or bring them into the conversation. Obviously, he will make sure that whoever he works with going forward is well aware of the regulations and well aware of any, assuming we're able to get a permit here, the parameters of any permit.
So I certainly hear you and what you're saying here. I just think that it's important that contractors, at the very least, provide backup for the regulations of the town, and that if any homeowner inadvertently is asking them to do something that they shouldn't do without a permit, that the contractor expresses that fact. So I don't think it actually lets the contractor in this case off the hook. That's my personal opinion.
Could you tell us if the contractor did it, were there bids out for this? Did they come up with estimates? Did he interview a number of contractors and then pick this one, or was it somebody that he knew?
I'm not sure that I can answer that question. I don't have that level of detail, but I think that there's also, as often happens with these types of projects, scope increases once you get started. So I don't know that this was something where let me put it this way. Where we are now, as far as having a plan for what the property will look like when this is all done, is a very different way of approaching this than the homeowner was approaching the project previously. Previously, he was sort of approaching it on, let's sort of see where we get to. And as the three of us explained to him, he really needs to decide what his what ultimately this is going to look like, so that we can confirm that there will be no negative impacts, so we can do the stormwater calculations, et cetera. And so we're at a very different place now with having an actual plan that shows what the property will look like at the end of the project. That wasn't the way that this started at all.
Holland?
Kathleen Holland for the record. Having been to the site in June and meeting for the first time with Mr. Gray, and with my decades of experience, when I stepped onto the site, which he welcomed me onto the site, which I appreciate the cooperation, it was like there were two different contractors working on the site. So it kind of lends itself to what you're explaining, in that I'm going to maybe fill in some blanks, that the homeowner got in slightly over their head quickly on the left-hand side of the driveway, and things started going terribly wrong. I can see, trees are scarred, there's fill in the wetlands. The guy working on the right hand of the site seems like it's a totally different person over there. So I don't know if Mr. Gray wants to fill in any of that for us and explain a little bit further. He doesn't have to, I don't think, but he is here. He's welcome to give some more light to this situation so that the commission members can, provide better guidance, not only for him, but for future contractors. He has to come up
You gotta-
closer
you
to
have
the,
come up here.
get him up
Yeah.
here.
So, Mr. Gray, thank you so much for coming forward. You need actually to sit
Yeah.
by the microphone, and we only have 2 microphones. Apologies for that.
The warm for you. Yeah, thanks, Rob. Hi, thank you for hearing me on this. Yeah, so as it relates to identifying the subcontractors used, it's my opinion with Amy's counsel that they operated at my directive. I agree that the wetland area, which is the southern side of the property, and the woodland area, which is the northern side, do look different, but by no means was it complete. So when Kathleen did approach and see the property, it was mid construction, midway. So I mean, maybe it was 3/4 or 90%, but it was an incomplete project. Thus, there were a few unpolished areas, and one of which is bingo in the wetland area. So personally, I am, I guess, falling on the sword to not disclose who my contractors were, because they worked hard for me, at my directive. So I'm just gonna try to provide context for the group here as it relates to that.
Well, Mr. Gray, thank you for that. And, it's terrific that you're taking responsibility and you're falling on your sword, as you put it. But I have to say that I don't think your subcontractors did you any favors by not speaking up.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, we walked the property a handful of times with the survey, specific attention to that wetland area.
Right.
Midway through the project, material did move, and material moved, and it was a very technical area. So when Kathleen showed up, it was in violation. So that is.
I think the plan is to, as we've stated now, because we now have a plan that shows exactly, again, what should be done and what the project is going to look like at the end. I think we won't run into any more of these difficulties.
Any additional questions, comments at this point, or shall we allow the team to continue with their presentations? Good. Thank you very much.
You can sit there.
Yeah.
I'll just move this over. Come on, it's fun. All right. So again, Rob Frangione for the record. So I'll just quickly go over what it is that we're planning to do. So I look at this site as having 2 halves, the southern half and the northern half. The southern half is what we were originally concerned with, because that's where the fill occurred in the wetland. So when we walked the site, I pointed out to the commissioners basically where the wetland line was, and we're going to take all of that material out. We're going to take all the material within 10 feet of that wetland line out. And then per the town's regulations for slope, which is a 1-on-3 slope, we're going to peel that material back. And what that material is material that kind of migrated from the upper portions of that side of the property. Again, when the stumps came out, and dirt was loose, and you guys saw some big boulders that were there. That's where that stuff came from. So the boulders, some of those boulders we're going to use as a demarcation feature when this is all done. So we're going to remove this material from the wetland proper, from within 10 feet of the wetlands, and slope it back up. That comes to about 161 yards of material. That's going to all get dumped on the north side and stay on the site. Once that material is removed from the south side, that's when the boulder demarcation feature will go in, as well as the wetland mitigation plantings, the plantings in the buffer, and then we can stabilize the rest of the southern portion of the site. On the northern portion of the site, what I did was, and I know she's showing it up there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh,
No, I went too far.
yeah.
Keep talking. I'll
That's
get
okay.
it up.
So on the northern portion of the site, we're going to still bring in some more fill to give more of a level yard, because there really is no quote unquote backyard because of the way that the driveway dominates the front of the property, and then there's the pool in the back and all that. So we're going to kind of flatten out in the north side. But as far as stormwater mitigation, what's that? Oh,
Commissioner Ramirez, could you just use a pointer as you're scanning around and talking about it?
So this is the north side of the property.
Thank you.
This is that large dirt pile that you saw. And then there's the stormwater retention that I believe Mr. Frangione is going to begin to speak about down here.
So
where the boxes are.
Right now, everything drains from north to south across the driveway and then out to the wetlands. And then there's a drainage ditch that then goes under Michigan Road and out to 266 Michigan Road. There are existing yard drains in the lawn, and the existing roof leaders go under the driveway and they discharge just north of the wetlands. So what I said was, okay, well, let's take advantage of gravity and where we have some room. And so we're going to replace those yard drains that are in the low area to the north of the driveway, create like a little mini detention basin, which will then take the water that's coming off of the lawn and send that to an underground stormwater detention system comprised of pipe and gravel. And that's what that box on the plan is. And then when that is full and it backs up, it'll go out the same pipe that goes under the driveway and out to the wetlands. So we're using some of the existing infrastructure and we're just holding it back uphill and then letting it release over time. And so I've run the numbers for the entire site, assuming that it was woods and converting that to lawn. And basically that's how we came up with the flow rates and volumes. And that's how I sized the detention system that's shown on the plan. Once that's all done, then Kate has come up with a planting plan for the north side that will also be done. So that's really all I have, unless you have more questions for me.
Yep. Holland?
Kathleen Holland for the record. Rob, can you go back to the southern side of the driveway? And you mentioned a boulder demarcation wall. The plans are, there's a lot going on in that area. Are you able to zoom in and go over that a little bit more detail of what you're thinking about for the boulder demarcation wall?
I think that might actually be more on Kate's plan.
The plan is much.
Oh, it's on your plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's so much.
Get to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, due to the nature of the plans, there's a lot going on. So
Yeah. Okay. So it's on
better.
Kate's plan.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Just for the commission members, I just, as Rob was talking about drainage, Maria Coplet, our town engineer, did review, and in OpenGov, I think she cleared you for what you have proposed as far as the drainage. So I just wanted to mention that. Health Department did have a comment. Do you remember the comment?
They were concerned about the impact of the septic system. We had Palladino and Sons go out and do an inspection, and the system is functioning and healthy. So the only caveat health is that should Carter want to put an addition on and we need to do a code complying reserve area, we'll have to design a new one. But otherwise, it's
Okay,
fine.
yeah, I just couldn't remember specifically what Amy had said. And then lastly, the applicant is required to file with planning and zoning, and I believe they have a pending, what's it called? grading and fill.
and regrading application, special permit
Yeah,
application.
so that's going to be going to the Planning and Zoning Commission, I believe, in December. So that's the second half of another reviewing that will have to take place.
Angela Jameson for the record. So I have a question regarding the situation of the wetlands in the southern area. I see that it's clearly marked on the plan that we have in front of us, but there were no flags for the wetlands when we went out to do our site visit. So where did you get this information from? Because that information hadn't been shared, if you like, on the site itself.
So I was the original engineer for the prior owner when they built the pool, because we had to do the drainage plan for that and the floodplain management application, because that was done in there. At that time, we had the wetlands flagged on the property. Otto Thiel flagged them in April 1st, 2020, and they were located by survey April 16th, 2020. 5 years have passed, the flags have fallen down. But we knew where they were because we had them located by survey. So now we can still operate. If we needed to, we could have RKW go back out and rehang the flags. Otto is unfortunately no longer practicing, so he can't.
Right. So I'm glad you know where the wetlands are and where the flags were, because unfortunately the commission members didn't when we did the site visit. You know, we've done the site visit now. Personally, I don't see the point of asking you to put those flags up. But just so you know, for future cases, it was disappointing not to be able to demarcate exactly where the wetlands were.
Sorry about that. I just, again, since we had the information on the survey and we knew from a regulatory standpoint, we knew where the wetland line was, and we were working to clear out or clean up the wetlands and protect it. So that's that was our focus was on that. So,
Angela, if I may, that in addition to those flaggings, when we do, God willing, the physical work to remediate and complete this, we will have flaggings for obviously the wetlands, physical ones, but we will have other flaggings, for example, for the storm drainage, for the trees and for the plantings. And so there will be, physical markers to indicate exactly where everything is and where we want everything to be at end result. So, but we were very much focused on trying to visually represent this two-dimensionally so we can share it amongst ourselves and find some kind of accordance with a go forward strategy. So I apologize for that.
Well,
Sorry.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Ask you a question.
Mr.
This is Dan Stepanek. This seems so smoky or soft. I don't get. Do you have somebody in mind to take it forward now? Do you have
The project will be overseen by Mr. Francione going forward. He'll stay the engineer of record.
But you're going to need some help. And do you have a contractor in mind?
Oh, the contractor to do the work. That's a question for.
We
The contractor that he used is going to do
No,
that?
we don't know yet. I was going to let Carter answer that question.
We have a short list. I mean, we're not ready to necessarily pick anyone just yet, because we have multiple parts to this. We've got, first and foremost, is mitigation, remediation mitigation on the south side.
You're not at that point yet.
Well, we have to get.
No, you
got a list of contractors. Is that right?
Go to the street to solicit bids. We could essentially do it, but we haven't done that yet. I mean,
we first have to be resolved with this commission. Yeah. We have to get resolved through planning and zoning. That's probably not going to happen until January, I would say.
Well,
maybe December. We're trying to go as quickly as possible, but the wheels of town hall they move as they do.
But let me ask you this: you're not thinking about using the same contract?
No, sir.
Okay. And this is a fresh list of contractors. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. And how are you going to pick them, if I may ask?
Well, I think there's there's probably some, well, I could use a contractor that's first and foremost approved by Town of New Canaan wetland remediation. I mean, there's probably one contractor I could pull from that with domain expertise in New Canaan wetland. And then for the other stuff, similar search, but
I think if I can, I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but I think the process will be different than it was last time because we will
I
have a
hope so.
plan
Sure.
and that we will be submitting to contractors and so that we can, Mr. Gray can go out to bid.
But
It's a
if
little
we
bit of
can
a-
help,
so
if
Certainly.
Kathleen can help here and the Wetlands Department can help, please ask.
thank you.
We will.
Is that right, Kathleen? Is that fair?
He has consultants who have expertise with contractors who do this type of work. So, yeah. So,
I have a few contractors in mind that I know can do this work. But again, until we have an approved plan, I haven't approached anybody because if the plan changes, I don't want them to be bidding on multiple plans. So, get through the approval process and then we can move forward.
That makes sense.
Beth
Sanford?
Sanford, yes. Mr. Frantillon, you mentioned moving stuff around from the south to the north, and can you just talk a little bit more in more detail what the actual process is?
Sure. So
What kind of equipment's involved, and how you envision the whole kind of
So I envision
be
basically,
executed.
small excavators because there are some large rocks in there that you can't move those by hand. So there will be some machinery in there, but the nice thing is all the erosion controls are already up. So we kind of know where the boundaries are of working. And then we'll have the surveyor set the wetland line so we can run a string across it so that we know, okay, here's where we're going to be. Here's the wetland line. Everything to the right of that, gone. Everything to the 10 feet to the left of that, gone. And then from up high, you just start pulling it out both by excavator and by hand, because eventually when you get to the bottom, it's going to need to be some hand work so that you're not digging out too much material because you don't want to get back down into the and then that'll all slowly just get picked up, deposited, put in either wheelbarrows or small dump trucks and driven across the driveway and out to the north side where they'll be able to spread it. At that point, we're well beyond the wetland limits, so I'm not concerned about intrusion into the wetlands. And they're going to have to bring more trucks into that side anyway, to the north side. So that's how I envision the earth being removed. And then once that's done, the boulders can be set. And that's when the plantings can be done, because this way you know what goes inside the upland review limit and what's outside.
During that process, we know there is gravity, it is on a slope, and you're going to be disturbing what was the area that's already been disturbed. What if we have a 50-year rainstorm or a 100-year rainstorm?
So that's why we have multiple rows of silt fence shown on the plan, and there are out there now to break up the slope. The enemy of siltation or gravity and length is what causes erosion. When you have uncontrolled expanses, 150 feet plus of bare earth with nothing to slow the water down, that's what generates velocity, that's what generates turbidity, that's what generates siltation. So by breaking it up, and that's what we have every 75 feet, we're cutting the site so that it slows the water down. And we had our site visit, I think 2 or 3 days prior, we had received 3 inches of rain in about 6 hours. I mean, it was a killer storm. And I looked on the downhill side of that silt fence and I didn't see any sedimentation. So to me, it looked like the stabilization temporary that we had was doing its job. So I think it'll continue to do so as we do the work.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Oh, Miss Holland.
Just while
Yep.
we're on that discussion, because I think that is a very important part of the mitigation of this property. And just thinking out loud, to be able to satisfactorily remove the material from the wetlands and the upland review area, would you be agreeable to a condition that said that that it has to be verified by the engineer of record and town staff prior to implementation of planting? Because what I don't want is the plant to take place and now we have to go backwards and take out more fill.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
So I think
When-
we need to lock down a little bit further on that. So I just want to throw that out there.
Remove, then we'll
Can I make a,
agree.
can I ask a question? So if you do perform that inspection, may we ask that you come, or how much time in advance will you need? I just want to make sure that if I do have somebody there performing the remediation and mitigation, that they remain there, right? So I just want to make, so how, 24 hours? Okay. Yeah, the answer is yes.
Make sure we get that done.
Yeah.
Contractors never leave. They only have one job.
Yeah, just like me.
Are you ready to hear from Ms. Throckmorton?
Anybody has anything else? At this point, I think we're ready to let you continue with your presentation. Thank you.
Let's do the south first, okay? Oh, shoot, your plans ended up sideways. Let me see if I can, let me see if I can get this.
Counterclockwise.
Sure what this is. I know. There we go. Okay. Good evening. For the record, Kate Throckmorton, a landscape architect with Environmental Land Solutions. We prepared the planting plan or I should say the stabilization and restoration and planting plan specifically for both areas, but I think for this commission really more focused on the south side where there was some intrusion into the wetlands. I will say that I think that Kathleen caught this really at a good juncture because there really, it seemed like there was just a couple of days worth of kind of miscellaneous pushing of material into the wetlands. And there was no trees. The majority of the trees are still there. Specifically, there are 3 large oaks that are not only there, but still unscathed. So was very happy to hear that because that's significant. Still sideways on the screen that they're saying. Oh dear.
Can you right click and rotate?
Oh, I did already. It's right on my screen. That's why, I'm just trying to reshare again. There we go. Okay. All right. Here, okay. Take it. Okay. All right. So just to add some color to this plan so it was easier to read. The green hatch areas are the areas that have been not disturbed. This area right here is the focus of the disturbance area. There's 2 lines of silt fence, one which was here, which was protected kind of the larger clearing area. And then these kind of cloud circles that have the hatch in them are the trees that still remain in the area. There is kind of a push of material. It was really just through this lens and through all the existing trees. And like I said, fortunately, and I'm happy to say that there are the several large oak trees are still there. They're not filled and they're not banged into. So they really serve as an anchor to provide a long-term function for this area. So the area that was filled, not heavily, but certainly was soil brought into this area. And that is the area where Rob is showing that all that material is going to come out and it's going to be heavily replanted. As I said, most of the trees are still intact. So the planting in this area is primarily the understory that was affected. So we are replanting with understory shrubs, primarily spice bush,
and adding in some ferns in the wetter areas where we were actually in the wetlands. I think that should substantially revegetate the wetland areas. If there's any outstanding or exposed soil at the end of that, it's all going to be seeded and mulched with a light mulch to provide a quick stabilization for that area. And then as we move back closer to the open lawn area, there is an open area right here, which did seem like it deserved some additional trees. I suspect that they may have been a grouping of maybe ash because they're completely gone. Most of the other trees around there are oaks and black birch. So I suspect that there may have been some ash trees that had been removed out of that area. And so we are going to be replanting in here, providing some shrubs and understory trees and kind of an opening over here. This line, that's hatched line, is going to be the new demarcation of seeded lawn area. Kathleen asked about a demarcation. My plan actually does not include boulders at this moment, but I know that it is something that frequently we do add in, and I know the commission likes to see that, so we certainly can add those in. I have actually added also some Leucothea along this edge, which to me serves a very good edge. It's kind of an ornamental plant, but it is native. The deer don't eat it, and it's easy to find after somebody's planted after years, if it's near the house or in the woods. So I thought that would be a good kind of edge plant for the lawn. And then, like I said, we'd be happy to add some boulder demarcation for more permanence. And there is a section in the upland review area that is going to be seeded as lawn, but all the rest of the trees are going to stay. So the area is going to stay somewhat of a woodland area, and the wetland itself will be restored, and the trees adjacent to the wetland will be replanted. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? So Angela Jameson, for the record, I believe you said about 20 live trees were removed from this area of the property, or
from the entire property.
So how many from this particular area?
So we think about 10 from the southern half, but not from right here in this area that we're talking about right now during Ms. Throckmorton's presentation. This would be across the entire southern half of the property, approximately 10, and then about 10 in the northern half as well.
Right. And how many are you proposing to plant with a diameter in excess of 10 inches?
Well, all the new trees are going to be of a caliber of 2 to 2.5 inches, which is kind of the standard size for installation. So the new trees that are going in are 5. There's going to be 3 understory trees and 2 oak trees.
Most of the trees that came out on the south side are actually beyond the upland review limit. Again, the fill that was brought in this area on the south side was material from uphill that got pushed down. And in this area, a lot of these trees are still there. So I don't think there was tree removal in that area, because it was just pushing the dirt is really what it was.
That's correct. Actually, I don't, so we'll call it the western side of the property, which is the left-hand side. That was the area of concern for tree work and tree removal. And it began with, I want to say, 3 pair of very mature red oak, white oak, and they were twin sets. So they were from the same seed, and they were 35, 45 inches in diameter, and they were over the vehicles, and they were over the pool. And so that was where the tree removal began. And then there were some dead trees as well, and blighted growth that we removed, but as it relates to this, the wetland area and the upland review area, there were no mature trees removed in that area.
Thank you for that. So Ms. Throgmorton, will there be sort of adequate canopy to help shade the wetlands to provide good protection going forward, or would additional trees be something that would be helpful?
Good question. I think that this plan will be adequate. I think, as I said in the beginning, it was fortunate that the three major very large trees, which are over 36 inches in diameter, remain and they're unharmed.
Mm-hmm.
So the material that was pushed into this area was pushed in and around, it seemed like. It doesn't appear to me as though there was any trees taken out, because there's still trees behind, kind of to the west of this area. So the areas that have holes in them, I've tried to fill in those areas so that they will fill in for the whole of the upland review area. So I think I'm confident in several years that this should heal back once the fill material has been taken out. And I think it will also be fairly easy to figure out where the material needs to stop, because there wasn't any material taken out. It's just that new material is just piled on top of it. So once that material is taken out, the previous plants that were there are probably going to be able to rebound. And I think so. As soon as that material is taken out, I think it'll be fine.
Ms. Sanford?
Yes. Hi, Beth Sanford for the record. So I'm looking at your plan. So the trees that you're going to plant are, the common naming it, shadblow.
Yes.
What kind of tree is that?
That's an understory tree. That's an Emmelinkier, canadensis. That's the Latin name.
Is it a native tree?
Yes.
And then the white oak?
Correct.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that luckily the 3 oaks were not taken down?
Correct.
Were they on the list that could be taken down?
No.
No.
Can you enlarge this a little bit?
When this first started, when I first came on the property and I was advising Carter as to how to temporary stabilize, I looked at where the trees started, like where the majority on the south side, where the disturbed area was, and I saw all the mature trees that were still there. And I said, let's put the row of silt fence there to act as the first dam to slow down the runoff. And you could see that from that point going towards the wetlands, that's where the upland dirt kind of got mushed into that area. So the trees that were taken down on that side were all well beyond the upland review limit, and like,
so we've enlarged
feet plus from the wetlands, or
my
80
plan
feet plus.
a little bit, so I could maybe go into that in a little more detail. So this line is the wetland line, the single line with the triangles. The 50-foot upland review line is highlighted in this purple line.
Yeah.
There are 3 large oaks. One is here, one is here, and one is here. So those are
So not in green, the existing.
I got it.
existing trees that are still there that have not been dramatically impacted by this disturbance. So I think that they themselves are going to continue to provide a canopy. And in the interim, also, all these smaller trees are also still there, and they will remain. And they are somewhere between 4 and 6 inches in diameter. And most of those are tulips. So if there's any openings there, it's a very quick growing tree.
Mhm.
So that will help. And then these 2 trees, these 2 oak trees is where I felt like there was an opening that was left from the disturbance. And that's why I planted them there. And these smaller trees, the shrubs and the shadblow down here, this area actually wasn't disturbed, but it's open. And it's within kind of the general disturbance area. There wasn't actually fill brought in there. So I just thought that would also be a complement to help fill in the upland review area for the long-term protection of the wetlands.
So the trees, the oak trees that were removed are up on the north end of near the
So-
pool.
Yes, so this silt fence line is the line where all the trees were all taken out and the area was grubbed
And graded.
and graded. And to the east of that, where the material was pushed in, but the trees hadn't been taken out.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right, and then,
Commissioner Redden, with just a question. So you have the proposed new lawn area.
Yep.
And the lines above and below. So as you come in on the driveway, this is to the left where the fill is. There's a lot of lawn to the right. There's a lot of lawn behind, when there's lawn to the left. So that's proposed.
it's proposed to be seeded to be lawn, correct?
Is it just because you don't want to remove the fill that's been pushed in there?
Well, that was kind of where we all decided that, that was almost back to where the existing grade was. So we could look to add some material in there if you would like.
I'm just curious from the site visit. I'm just remembering when we walked in that way, that looks like that was where some of the fill was. That's the upland review area, correct?
Yes, correct.
The pink, the
Right.
pink line is the upland review line.
So to my right, going towards the two new trees, you have this rectangle of new lawn,
Correct.
which before that was woodland going upland wetlands
Correct.
going, yeah. Not sure why you'd put lawn in upland review area, but
It's an area that there is now fill that needs to be stabilized. So I'm stabilizing it with the seed grass,
right. Meadow grass, or is it going to be lawn?
meadow grass.
Got it. Thank you.
There's a seed specified in my notes, that's a conservation mix.
Thanks.
Any additional questions on this south side before we move on to the north side and the plan for plantings there? No, so maybe you could talk us through, Ms. Throckmorton, what you're proposing for the north side, which as of this point is still wetlands.
Yes, well, I'm going to clarify that.
I would
But-
say it's a regulated area.
So I would say,
not a
I would,
wetland.
thank you, Rob. But it is a regulated area. There's actually wetlands to the north and there's wetlands to the east. But this area, it does not have wetland soils in it, and it is not within a 50-foot upland view area as the southern area is. I think from hearing the previous testimony, it was the owner's desire to make this an open active recreation area. So we have added trees around the perimeter, shade trees to extend along the driveway, to extend the ones that are already there that did remain, and 6 understory trees along the north edge of the property. The rest of it will be seeded as lawn, as was the purpose.
Excuse me. What map? I'm just looking at the online material. What is this one called?
It's called Planting Plan PP1.
Again, planting plan.
PP1, it's the title block is Planting Plan, Floodplain Management Application, and the label is PP1-1.
I think I tried to
Beth?
label it as northern.
Look at the email I sent, that it's in that
In
email.
that email.
Yeah, it's in
Okay.
that email. We may not
don't
have
see
been
it
able
on
to
the
upload it to
line.
the, to your portal yet.
Okay.
But you do have it in the email. I sent it. to
Yeah, I
everyone.
looked at that before. Now I see. Okay.
So additional plans that you want to share with us?
No, I think, we've summarized what the proposal is. As we've stated, the concept is now we actually have what we expect the finished product to look like. We have This will be improved from the site before the work was done with the additional stormwater mitigation. We've also got additional plantings in and around the wetlands that would not have been otherwise proposed, except for the fact that we're doing this as a remediation. So I think all in all, I know none of us are happy with, how we got here, but I think we've got a good project for this property that also provides the homeowner with the space that he would like on for lawn area on a going forward basis.
Thank you. Ms. Holland?
Just a couple of housekeeping things. Notices were provided to all of the neighboring properties within 100 feet. In addition, the South Norwalk Electric and Water Company is an interested party to the north and west of this property. I did not receive any further comments from them. Did you receive any further comments?
We did not.
Okay.
Mr. Gray did speak with most of his neighbors directly, and there were a few people that had some questions about what the plans were, mostly hoping that he'd do something about what it looks like right now as quickly as possible.
Maybe more trees. I said we can't.
Remove more, yeah.
Sorry.
It's a plan. It wasn't mentioned, I don't think, but I'm assuming irrigation. So irrigation is installed already, or
It's not installed yet.
so
no.
so that would be also irrigation,
For the
a
north
pattern
side,
of
and
irrigation.
expected for the south side as well.
Okay.
So
Any other underground utilities? Lighting, landscape lighting?
no. No.
Okay. I think that's all.
So I have a question I'd like to throw out to other commission members. We've heard discussion about potentially using some of the boulders that were removed as part of the restoration plan, but we don't actually know where they're going to go. And typically when boulders are going to be placed in a regulated area, we would expect to see that on the plan. What do we think about the fact that we don't know where those boulders are going to go?
Well, I think it could be a special condition.
Do you want to put your mic on?
Commissioner Redden, I think if Director Hahn wanted to make a special condition of, should this be approved, and then those boulders are placed on the drawings and she signs off on it.
I have some thoughts on it. I think maybe you may have misspoke saying there was a boulder retaining wall. I thought I was losing it. I'm like, I didn't see a boulder retaining.
A bit of a Mandela effect where we thought that we had it on this plan.
Okay, because I actually do not think it's appropriate for this one. That's my sense. I would like to hear what Kate, I don't think it's necessary. And it's not a huge slope area. Okay,
I
so
think we ought to let them decide if they want to do it or not, then they'll come to us and then we decide.
Yeah, but maybe we should just hear from Miss Throgmorton.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Miss Throgmorton?
Well, I think because on the southern side that there is still a fair amount of trees that are in the upland review area, and that the area will remain wooded, and that it's documented which trees would stay. I'm not overly, pushy about having it, but one or two maybe in the area that's kind of is the edge of where the demarcation starts, might be a good reference for the future homeowners and for the town's reference as well.
I mean, it's easy to not put in a boulder demarcation feature. That just means we don't do anything. I think we discussed it amongst ourselves as the rocks are there, so we just got to move them. I mean, that was the only reason. And we know that historically the commission likes to see some sort of demarcation feature for an upland review, and that's pretty much the only reason why we even offered it. If it pleases the commission and staff to not have a demarcation feature, then why would we put a demarcation feature?
Personally, I just don't think it really adds anything to the landscaping plan, that especially on the southern side. I I don't see how it adds any kind of, other than aesthetically pleasing, if you wanted to do some boulders out.
Well,
out
that
there.
wouldn't be the
That's-
intention.
That's it. I don't think they're really going to serve a demarcation feature. Typically this one doesn't call for a demarcation wall, in my opinion, just because of the lay of the land and the way the site is organized. I don't personally think it's necessary, and I think it's potentially more disturbance or a nuisance to the property owner to maintain, to mow around, to whatever the case might be. So, you know, if anything, I agree with Commissioner Redden, where maybe some less lawn or mowable area would be taken out of the upland review area. That's certainly something that could be beneficial to broaden out that area that we are trying to protect. This is in a watershed to the, South Norwalk Electric and Water Reservoir. So water quality is an important feature on this property, and prevention in part is from, a nice buffered planting landscaping to that area.
I would, Beth Sanford speaking, I would agree with that. I think grass is not going to do as much as some more native plant to help with the mitigation.
I just showed Carter where this area is, and he doesn't need lawn inside the 50-foot upland review limit. We can take that out off the plan. There's going to be plenty of lawn. So,
Question I have in the past, Kathleen, in terms of having a mitigation that involves planting trees and shrubs, do we go back in 2 years to make sure that they actually survive the planting and had the proper amount of irrigation?
There typically is a what's it called, survivability of plants. I don't know, 1 to 3 years is typical, or a few
Yeah.
seasons at the very least, so that it's not being done and then you're not benefiting from it. So, I would say probably a 3-year lookout is appropriate for this property. That the trees shall be, if they do not survive the first 3 years, then they need to be replaced, is typical.
Should that be a special condition? And certainly I appreciate Mr. Gray's offer to take the lawn out of the upland review area. Question, how do we kind of record that? It goes into the minutes, or?
You could do a special condition that the landscape architect shall provide an amendment to the plan.
Yeah.
That staff can approve or review for landscaping of that 50-foot upland review area.
Yep.
We can
That
certainly do
sounds
that.
like a neat way to do it if everybody's agreed. Good. So I've noted 3 special conditions, I think, that have been mentioned so far. The first was that the site should be inspected by the engineer and by the Director of Inland Wetlands after the fill has been removed and before plantings occur. So that was one. Second one was that there will be review of the plantings in 3 years and any that have died will be replaced. And then thirdly, that the plan will be amended to take out the lawn out of the upland review area, and that will be put onto maps, which will then be looked at, reviewed by the Director of Inland Wetlands. And Miss Holland has some more.
I've got 2 more.
Yeah.
I know the applicant mentioned it, but I think prior to implementation, the wetland flag shall be reinstalled as a visual as to where the fill needs to be removed from.
within the area, like basically wetland flags 7 through 10, I think is appropriate.
I can't read your numbers on here, but yes, that's exact. Yeah.
7 is the southernmost side, 10 is the northernmost side.
7, yeah, so just 7 through 10 do need to be put back in. And then since we do have a planting plan on this our standard condition that we tend to do on most of them, that the landscape architect shall inspect and provide, I would say probably, because we're going to do 3 years annually, we need to do probably a look at the plants to then hopefully everything survives and you're good to go. But I think annually seems reasonable. Does that seem standard for what you've seen?
Okay, so is that a supplement to the special condition already mentioned, or is that an additional one?
5 special conditions.
I think it's 5.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, 5. Good. Any other thoughts or special conditions? Anybody like to bring up? No? Very good. If not, are we ready to make a motion? Who would like to make a motion?
Commissioner Redden, I'll make a motion to approve IW 2545. Did I get that right? With the 5 special conditions read out by the director and Madam Chairman.
I second the motion.
Very good. Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? None. So that application is approved. And I'd like to thank the team for coming along this evening and going through your plans in such detail, as well as the history. And I particularly like to thank Mr. Gray for coming here personally. It really does make a big difference to the commission when homeowners come and, you know, tell us sincerely what happened. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And speaking for the staff, it does make things better when I did have a very good cooperation from Mr. Gray right from the onset, with Mr. Frangione, I think, on the site within like 48 hours. So I appreciate your responsiveness to this. I wish it hadn't happened. We're a phone call away. Please call. New homeowners, please call if you have any work. We are very user friendly, so reach out to us.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. So we're going to move on now to the agent's report. Looks like Miss Holland has been very busy within the last month. Are there particular items you wanted to highlight, and maybe if anybody has questions?
Let's see. As I look over the list, I mean, they're so familiar to me, so I don't know if anything jumps out to any commission members. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I don't, some are underway. We sort of got a mix of activities going on here, a big range of stuff, from new single family homes to swimming pools to additions to, additions. So no shortage of activities here in New Canaan with construction. So, but all vetted very well with all of our sister departments, and permits have been issued.
So is this number of applications for permits like this unusual, or is it about usual for this time of year?
It's we're running comparable to previous years. Application fee wise, we're quite ahead actually. Maybe with some of the changes, last year we changed the fees and increased to single family homes to $1,000. So I think we made up some differences there, but it's really, it's volume and scope of activities. I think that's why our fees are a little bit higher.
Mm. Thank you. Any questions or comments on that?
Kathleen, let me ask you a number. This is Dan Stepanek. Number 14, permit number IW 2549.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a continuation of when we were out there to the golf course last summer?
No, this property at 624 Smith Ridge Road is just north of the Country Club of New Canaan. The Country Club purchased a single-family home just to the north of their campus. And so they are the owners of the property. The house that was there has been demolished. They're constructing a new home for an employee that is employed at the club. So, and there's no work in the wetlands, but there's wetlands on the backside of the property.
Is the property they purchased on 123 there?
Correct.
Right on 123, huh?
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is actually going to be a modular home constructed at that site.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on before we close, I just wanted to let everybody know that on Saturday, I attended the annual conference of Kakiwik in Cromwell, Connecticut. And Kakiwik, in case you're wondering, stands for Connecticut Association of Conservation and Inland Wetlands Commissions. And they hold a conference usually right in the middle of the state every year and have a number of keynote speakers as well as workshops of various kinds. And it is meant both for inland wetlands commissions as well as conservation commissions. There was a very interesting update on climate change from Jim O'Donnell, who is a professor of oceanography at UConn and has done or been involved in a lot of work in thinking about the increase in sea levels over the next not just few years, but right out to 2050 and out to the end of the century. And the conclusions really haven't changed that much since he reported to Kakiwik in 2018. It does look as though the increase in sea levels generally would be 20 inches if preventative action isn't taken. But apparently the Long Island Sound sea level is rising faster than the global average, and in part that's due to the position of the Gulf Stream and what's happening with the Gulf Stream. And so the upper band for 2050 is 20 inches increase in sea level on average. And then for 2100, it's unlikely, he said, to be less than 2 feet. So, that's not terribly
Gulf
good
Stream
news.
getting warmer? Is that the issue? Then, it's warmer to start out with.
Right, but I'm sorry, I can't recall offhand all the, complexities here, but the currents, the something like the Gulf Stream makes a difference. And then the other thing that's happening is greater volatility in terms of storms. Well, we know that from our own experience. Yeah. So that was very interesting. And then we also had an update on some legislative proposals that are still only proposals at this point about riparian protection. So there's a bipartisan working party, which is quite a large one, which is looking at ways in which to protect the banks of rivers, streams, brooks. There are different ways in which that might be achieved. And it may involve giving authority to zoning commissions or to inland wetland agencies. That's to be decided. Something else that I picked up is that as from 2026, training for inland wetland agencies is going to be mandatory, and that means the state's deep training. I don't know, Ms. Holland, if you've had any update on that.
I have not.
This was something that Attorney Janet Brooks mentioned more than once, and we know that she's very interested in this subject. So
I do know that it was attempted with
Yeah.
the previous session. I think it probably will go through on this next session as it is required for planning and zoning commission members. I don't know why they wouldn't follow suit
No.
with the remaining group?
Well, she referred to something, Public Act 25-73. All inland wetland commission and staff must complete deep training as of the 1st of January 2026.
Is that just that online training?
It's what it sounded like, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's
So, I
not
mean,
really much of anything.
No, so you don't have to have completed it by the 1st of January, but as of that date, it will be compulsory. I mean, I think it's,
One time, or is it an ongoing?
It's a one time. I think it's one time.
That's
well,
not a
she
lot of
said-
education,
Yeah.
but okay.
she
Start-
said that once every 4 years, we'd have
Oh.
to be retrained.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It was
But-
Wednesday. They did put that in.
Apparently. But I do think that training is pretty useful. So,
Mhm.
Miss Holland, if you'd like to circulate the link to everybody
do it
again,
again.
that would be,
I do that.
that would,
Just did it.
that
didn't
would
I?
be
I'm pretty sure I just sent it not
terrific.
too long ago.
Yeah, but you know, emails
Okay,
get stale
circulated.
very quickly. You might just want to keep that email handy and send
Once
it
a
out
month,
regularly.
once a
Yeah.
They're gonna hate me, Angela. That way you start.
So anything else anybody would, oh, it's one other issue I wanted to just mention. You know, over the years, we have talked about the fact that there seems to be not a very great awareness in the community, and particularly among new homeowners, about inland wetlands and their importance, and the fact that you have to get a permit if you're going to do any activity in a regulated area. And I was thinking maybe in December, when we have an extremely light agenda, we could have
We
a,
have nothing, do we?
well, we
There's
may
no
have,
application.
No
we
presentation.
may have some applications to receive. We could have a short discussion about what, if anything, could be done to improve
Community
education.
outreach.
And, you know, hopefully mentioning it now, people could be thinking about it. I mean, I was at, huh?
Improve education among the community? Is that what
well,
you're talking about?
improve awareness, yes.
Community outreach.
Yeah.
You know, simple things to get people.
Well, we
I mean,
tried that. I mean, Kathy and I discussed it. I mean, I think it's a good idea. But
Well, I mean, I was at a coffee hosted by the Sentinel just 10 days ago, and the question of inland wetlands came up, and I was really quite shocked that even some homeowners who have been around for decades didn't seem to understand that they needed to talk to Kathleen Holland if they wanted to undertake work in their wetlands. So I think there are things that can be done. I've got a few ideas. I won't share them now, but
You're just gonna tease us.
Jesus.
You want us to show
Well,
up
now-
at the next meeting.
well, now you're going to be disappointed with whatever I say because I made it sound like it's, you know. So,
I think people are very ignorant. I mean, case in point,
yeah.
you know, I
Yeah.
mean,
I don't know about that,
well,
but we're.
I mean, I think
We
it
are
would be
gonna
very
go into
helpful for people buying a home to make sure they know they're on wetlands, you know? I mean, that's just kind of
One-
basic.
One recommendation I'll make for us all to think about is a community outreach by us having 2 or 3 of us at a time go and visit every realtor in town and say, when your people are moving into town.
Mm,
And I will tell you, community outreach is huge because I have, the majority of my neighborhood has turned over since I moved in, less than 4 years ago. And they're first-time homeowners who have, you know, maybe been married between 10 and 20 years. And they don't even understand, you know, trash collection or, you know, and it's interesting to me, the old guy in the neighborhood never was asking me how things work. People have no idea if they've never owned a home before.
Well, they're moving out from the city.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Or they're moving from the Midwest, or they're moving from some area. So, you know, to protect our community, we need to make sure people understand what the community is all about, and that New England is very specific when it comes to inland wetland waterways. You know, we're trying to protect the community they're moving to. So I think community outreach starts with the realtors.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
yeah, absolutely.
Just
That's a great idea. And I came back with a brochure that the inland wetland agent director for the town of Bolton in Connecticut has put together. And I, of course, now can't find it, otherwise I pass it around. But, you know, it's short, snappy, it gets your attention. And even better, she's provided a template that can be used to customize it. You know, you just use the Canva
Don't have to
software.
reinvent the wheel.
No,
And
so,
that might be something that the real estate agent can deliver to a new homeowner.
yeah.
Or it can go into the welcome wagon. If you want to stay
Yes.
welcome, make sure you know about this.
People move into town. They
That's
don't
good.
know about the new Canaanite. They don't know about where to get the news. They might get Apple News in the morning and read the Wall Street Journal
Yeah.
or Reuters, but they're not reading local press. No one
Interesting.
knows that we're volunteers. I can tell you that.
Interesting.
Angela, what was the name of the town?
Bolton,
Bolton?
yes,
Bolton?
yes.
Where is it?
Not too far away.
Oh, you-
Connecticut.
It's
It's in Connecticut.
Northern Connecticut. In your backyard?
I've done training there, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Are you serious?
It's not in
Come on.
Fairfield
Where is
County.
it?
I have done training there for
Training for what?
when I brought a program in here from FEMA and I was cruising around for the state as a trainer. I was doing train the trainers courses, and yes, I trained people in Bolton.
Would you like to share with us where it is in relation to some
I
other
don't remember. I remember
towns?
going straight up the Merritt
Yeah,
Parkway.
I think it's like way north.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to the end of the Merritt Parkway and
That's only 40 miles.
then only.
I just want to add on the discussion of education. I know we're talking in general terms and new people that come here. I can attest to the fact that I was on the phone this afternoon with a gentleman who's inquiring about buying a property that has a pond on the property, asked lots of great questions, and a realtor actually referred him to me. So there is that component that does happen, but it's one person at a time. Then you have other people that don't want to know. So, and they go the hard route. So that's the hard route. But I do like Sandy's idea about 3 of you at a time chit chatting with the realtors, because I do it every year. I talk to them all the time, but sometimes it's a little, oh yeah. Sometimes it's a little Greek annually. Yeah. So
Since we're a town entity, can we add a page somewhere on a website? Like
So
that
I
might be
have-
that brochure.
I have a flyer in the welcome wagon basket. Top questions, top inland wetlands questions. Well, it has been in there for years. Yeah. We have some information on the website. A lot of people do Google News, and then they see some of the stories that have covered us, and they learned things that way. But certainly public, community outreach is a good thing to be doing and to getting the word out.
But your questions that you have on a piece of paper,
Mhm.
can we put it on a website?
I think it's already on the website, but I'll
Oh, it
double
is.
check.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
you could bring a copy to
Sure.
share with everybody, and I will find this flyer that I have misplaced. I'm sure I have it somewhere. In Bolton. Oh, I spoke with her. She was so nice and helpful
Was she
and
really?
really enthusiastic. Yeah, I
I'm
think
about to make a
she's
motion.
going places.
Yeah. She knows.
I'm sorry?
You got to get up at 5
I'm about to
a.m.
make a
Oh,
motion to
yeah.
adjourn.
Okay,
We're good.
very good. Anything else anybody like to talk about? So may I hear a motion, please?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you very much, everyone.
Sorry, but I'm.